Hi, I'm Nathan, and these are the Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses. And this is a project called Blisst. It's a project that I've been working on for a little while now in my spare time. It's taken longer than I hoped it would. It started off as a really small idea, and I thought it would be pretty simple to do, but it grew legs as these things do. But I've learned a lot doing it, and I kind of wanted to share more about it. So if you haven't seen the demo video for Bliss, it's on my LinkedIn page, and I'll link to that down below. You can go watch the demo video. It's only a minute or so, and then come back. And this post is basically about how I built it, why I built it, and what I think is interesting. So yeah, these are the Meta Ray-Bans, or the Ray-Ban Meta, whichever way you say it. They kind of form a subset of the XR, or extended reality kind of glasses market now, known as AI glasses. So I think that's basically where these fit in now. So they have a camera on one side, they have a light on the other side. They can take photographs and video. So if I press you'll see the light light up. This tells people that I'm taking photographs or taking video. They have speakers underneath, so you can hear what's going on. That obviously bleeds out, so you'll probably be able to hear some of the sound and stuff that's coming out of these from the camera as well. They have microphones under both arms. I think they have 5 microphone points in order to kind of cancel out noise. They tend to be pretty good, actually. So if you're walking around, it's pretty noisy or windy, these actually do pretty good voice calls. It's not bad. I've been quite impressed by that. These are just clear glasses, but they do have reactive lenses in as well for the sun. I don't love the look actually of those. I prefer either clear glasses or sunglasses, but that's an aside. They fit pretty well. They feel okay. I prefer glasses be a bit bigger than these. They're a bit small for me, but they don't look ridiculous. So that's a big improvement on a lot of the ones that I see out there that are a bit more fully functioned. And they have AI as well. So you can do something like, "Hey Meta, play music." So Springsteen on the stereo, it works. "Hey Meta, start music." And that works too. So Meta's AI will answer questions for you. Obviously, it's using the cloud. It's not charging you any additional credits and stuff, but it will answer questions. When it answers a question, it will pause for a second and hold the channel open so you can ask it a follow-up question. So it feels like there's a little bit of back and forth there. So all in all, they're a pretty great package. But the one thing I really hate about these is that everything goes through Meta servers. They're blatantly doing some sort of dirty collection on this kind of stuff, and I don't love that. And there's no way out of this kind of walled garden. This walled garden that they've created around these glasses right now, there's nothing in it. There is no app store. There's no applications to run on your phone that will also run on your glasses, really, bar Spotify and the really obvious stuff. They have their own app. All your photographs go into that app. So, they're, again, sort of held inside Meta's ecosystem. There's no way of just sending your photograph straight out to something else. It will connect to WhatsApp, it will connect to Messenger, but again, they're within the sort of Meta ecosystem. So they've got this real tight control on stuff. I think if I was being generous, I think the reason that they've done that is to make sure that they didn't catch any of the blowback that happened in the Google Glass era. Google Glass happened and then people were just freaking out. I think Meta probably just said, actually, people are going to create some crazy stuff if we let them do that. So let's just put this out there with a camera and a video camera on and see what happens, and just kind of feel the water a little bit, let people get used to it. And in fairness to them, that seems to have worked as a strategy. So I can't really kind of fault them. The few people that have kind of tinkered around with this have done some fairly crazy things. I think there's a couple of Stanford students that did a hack and a workaround that did reverse image searches on people's faces, and that was that hit the headlines. So obviously for all the wrong reasons. So okay, that's the glasses. What's the project? The project then kind of came from me walking around the supermarket. I type into my phone before I go to the supermarket my shopping list, and I do it in the route that I'm going to do my shopping, right? I know the route around the supermarket. I know where all the stuff is. I type the list in the right order so that I can pick things up. And I always try and, because I don't really want to be getting my phone out and put it back again all the time and unlocking it and all this kind of stuff. It's really hard. So I try and, as I'm typing it, like commit it to memory and then go around. But then I get to the end and I do a recce, and I've always forgotten like 3-4 things that are unusual. Like my wife asked me to pick up something that was just like, not something that I would normally think of or pick up. And no, I haven't picked that thing up. Now I have to go back through the supermarket and pick these 3 or 4 things up. And I just thought, actually, this would be great. If I had the glasses on, I could just tell me the next thing on the list. I'm just going to pick the next thing up. That would be great. And then the idea evolved from there into a way of storing lists and running them on the smart glasses, but lists about all sorts. The more I sort of started to think about it, lists were for all sorts of things. So I used to be a service engineer, right? I'm a service manager now, and a lot of my work is based on that kind of stuff, installing parts, maintaining machines. And that means, and all of those things are really like lists of stuff, checklists, install a part, remove these 4 screws, take this panel off, unplug these 3 plugs, disconnect this part, put the new one in. It's just a list of stuff. Okay, this doesn't come with images, which is what I definitely want, but maybe this is just enough of a memory jog that would be really helpful. So shopping lists, maybe exercises. I saw somebody the other day in the climbing gym, and he had a little book and he was marking his exercises off in a little book. I just thought, wow, that's like pretty old school. But I remember when I was doing exercises and I was trying to learn a regime, I had to try and remember what was next. And again, the smart glasses, you just tap the smart glasses and it would tell you the next thing, right? So lists were part of everything. And I thought that would be a cool way to start. So here is so I built this in GitHub Pages. I got Claude and ChatGPT to do like all the code basically. So most of it's 95% vibe coded. I have this cool looking front end, AI coded or AI designed logo as well using Google FX. You start here, so you can start doing like a shopping list, right? And then you can put apples and bananas. Oops, I forgot about bananas. And then oranges. And then if you forget things, you can put extra ones in, and then you can delete them, and so on and so forth, right? You can even upload an entire list from somewhere else and make that run. So if you'd already created one, and then you could upload the JSON from there. So the JSON is just a list. It looks like this. So it generates the JSON from your list up top, and then you press go, and it uploads it through a backend server to a file repository in the cloud. It stays there for a little while. So this project is just kind of, it's a demo basically, right? But it launches that to the cloud, it stores it there, and then you can do stuff with it. So you can share the link, you can send the URL to somebody via WhatsApp or whatever else, and they can download it and run it. You can share it via a QR code, and you can copy and paste that. And maybe you could print the QR code out, stick it on something physical, like a spare part that you were shipping to somebody. So all the spare parts would come with instructions on what to do next, like in the label. Or you can copy it to an NFC string and actually target a fixed instrument, a fixed asset, impregnate that NFC string to an NFC tag, affix it to a physical object, and it would then be hard wearing and not wear off. And you could scan the NFC tag and then get taken to the procedure. So for the NFC tags, then I thought it'd be kind of cool to build some stuff. So I built these NFC tags using so this is the NFC tag I've got. So on here, this is like little 3D printed. They've got like a slightly raised top to them with like multicolor. I'd seen somebody else do this. I thought this was really cool, so I had to figure out how to do that for my my Bamboo Labs A1 Mini. So this is the software for Bamboo Labs. Create the little tag. I created this in Onshape and put that into the project first, and then you can do an SVG drawing in something like Inkscape, and then you open that SVG, like here, open the SVG in Bamboo Labs. And then the trick to this is you actually need to suspend one on top of the other. So you actually need to merge them first. So you select them both, you right click, you merge them. And then once you've got them merged like they are now, this one will stay like where you put it. Otherwise, it'll try and snap to the floor, and you can't print it like that. So anyway, you get these cool little NFC tags. You can buy a set of these little NFC circle tags from Amazon. They're about £10 for about 50 or something silly, and you can super glue one inside the other, and off you go. You're off to the races. So that was the whole kind of start to finish of that side of stuff. Actually getting it to work on the glasses, that was much harder. So for this, I use a program called Tasker. Tasker is an Android app which allows you to sort of build programs on the fly. So Tasker allows you to intercept signals that are happening on your phone. So that might be, I log on to this Wi-Fi. Maybe your Android phone is set up so that when you get home, like most people's Wi-Fi is, when you get home, it recognizes the Wi-Fi, it sees the SSID, it inputs the password, the home Wi-Fi reader says, oh yeah, you're on the list, you can come in, and then it logs you on. When that happens, Tasker can recognize that you're now connected to that network and do other stuff, whatever you want. You can have it turn all the lights on in the house or set the heating on or whatever, right? You can have it communicate with other things. What I did then was have Tasker recognize that if you run this web app from your phone, you can download to glasses. And the first obstacle I found was that if you download this JSON file, normally it downloads to the downloads folder on your Android phone, and that downloads folder is sort of protected. It's ring fenced. It means that you can't actually get it and do other things with it very easily. It's sort of deliberately that way so that people can't just stuff bad stuff onto your phone and then have it just sprout legs and go do stuff. So instead, what we did was we kind of had a workaround for that. When you click that button, what it does is it downloads essentially to the Tasker folder, which is much more liberal. You can do something else with it there, and then it starts when a file appears in that location, Tasker says, "Oh, there's a new file in that location. I'm going to start running it," and then it starts to run the list. So that was the first problem. Lots of security issues with trying to get download into the right place and stuff. There are a set of Tasker profiles in the GitHub repo as well. If you want to go and have a look at those and how it all works, you can do that. The next one was actually hijacking the signal for the tap on the glasses. So once you've started the glasses and Tasker is running, that's great. But unfortunately, when you tap on the side of the glasses, you can't make the Meta Ray-Bans do anything you want. So they do basically very set programmed things. But one of those things is pause or unpause the Spotify current track that you're on, right? So Spotify is open and you tap the glasses, it turns the music on. If you tap them again, it pauses the music. So you can intercept that signal, the pause or unpause, and you can do other stuff with it at the same time. So that's the first thing. You can sort of intercept the signal and say, okay, speak the next words for the next item in the list. So that's what we're doing. The downside of this is that for every other tap, you get the music start back up again. And the music's blaring and you can't hear the thing in the list. The workaround for this is to set the volume to 0 when you finish saying something. So at the end of every list item, we set the volume to 0. When you tap the glasses again, the volume's 0. So the music starts, but you don't hear it. And then you immediately pause it, and then it's paused, and then you say the next list item, and then you set the volume back to 0 again. So you set the volume up, speak the things, but set the volume back down again and end that task. And then when somebody taps again, it does the same thing. It's still, I'll be honest, a little bit squirrely. Every now and again, it does something a little bit unusual and unexpected, but for the most part, it pretty much works. There are a couple. Okay, so I'm going to scan the QR code, download to the glasses. See, so shopping list is starting. I need to open Tasker again. So downloading the shopping list actually stops Tasker from working. It uses Tasker secondary, which is a kind of duplicate of the app. It's complicated. Anyway, it shuts the primary one down. You need the primary one working in order to do this.
Apples. 2 bananas. 3 oranges.
Okay, so it's not perfect. You heard a kind of chunk of music there just for a second, and that's because I must have nudged the volume control. If you do that, then the next time round, you hear the music on the first time round.
List complete.
You hear the list complete. The other thing that it does that once the list is complete, it then turns off this glasses tab and stops it from then working. If you don't do that, every time you try and start Spotify, like if you get in the car, for instance, and start Spotify, it then just tries to tell you about apples and oranges and stuff. Okay, so that works. So we have a test app which will allow people to build lists and generate them and share them and download them to the glasses or download them to the phone and then run them through the glasses. And I think that you could then tag these lists to like geolocate them to things like machines and to put them in QR codes in recipe books. They could be shareable things like permanently affixed to, say, a building or part of a building or an art installation to give people instructions about like where to walk or tell them about the exhibit. They could tap on their glasses and learn the next fact or the next interesting sort of thing about the exhibit. I think there's tons of ways of kind of using this technology and the combination of all of these different things together. And I really enjoyed building, learning about the GitHub pages and building that sort of front end with AI, which felt like a real superpower because it's not, coding is not something that I can do, but being able to do all of that and actually bring it to life with the help of AI was really cool. I learned about the backend servers and putting files into file repos and working around some of the download things with Tasker and the kind of constraints around the glasses. Learned how to kind of do multi-layers on the 3D prints as well. So there's just tons of stuff in this project that was really interesting and really fun. So if you've enjoyed watching this, then cool, give me a like. If you are interested in talking about the project, then drop me a message. I'd love to talk about it.